This is the last line of defense for the oil spill slash slick that is arriving here of Bay St. Louis.
CNN reporter Tommy Fayard there, videotaping beaches in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, while bracing for an oil slick to wash ashore. He says he wants to get as many before and after images as possible. Got to tell you, progress now being reported in the fight against that oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. A BP executive says one of 3 leaks on the damaged oil well has been capped. And our Rob Marciano is in Biloxi, Mississippi. And Rob, if you would tell us where the oil is now, where it is going, and maybe what people along the Mississippi coast are doing.
Okay, well, first off, Tony, good morning. That's still about 30 miles south of this spot, so it hasn't made any more northward progression. So that's the good news. It has snuck a little bit farther to the west into some of the sensitive wildlands and wetlands of coastal Mississippi. Here along the north coast, what they're doing, oddly, to prepare for the possibility of oil landfall later this week or next week or whenever, is to actually clean up the beach. And we ran into workers that hired by BP to come clean up the beach prior to any sort of land hitting it. The theory being, the cleaner the sand is, the easier it is to clean up if oil gets in contact with it. So that's an ongoing effort right now. Also, volunteers, a lot of nervous energy here in the Gulf, so people kind of channeling that. And there's been hundreds of volunteers that want to train to be able to do the same thing and train if the oil comes ashore and how to clean up that oil. And we ran into some of those volunteers yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, some of those people were also looking for some answers from BP. But BP, although hosting that event, wasn't there to answer their questions. So a little bit of frustration there. All right, let's talk about where this Gulf Slick is. As mentioned, about 30 miles south of here, pretty much kissing some of the wetlands of the Louisiana coastline and into the Chandler Islands. We saw that when we flew overhead a couple of days ago. That's still the case. Where is this going to move? Let's talk forecast. Winds are calm right now. That's the good news. If anything, there'll be a very, very light southerly component over the next couple of days, but we don't expect the wind really to be driving this anywhere, anytime too soon. If anything, some of the eddies out of the Mississippi might bring it a little bit closer to that shoreline, so that's certainly a concern. Longer term, our winds go northerly over the weekend, so we're pretty confident still that oil probably won't get to this spot this week. But does it get further into the Gulf? Does it get caught up into the Gulf Stream? Does it get brought closer to Florida, maybe around that horn? That's a possibility, but way too early to tell. As far as wildlife goes, Tony, as you know, we've had a couple of birds that have been found just yesterday. A brown pelican, the state bird of Louisiana, was found with oil. That animal's being treated. A couple of sea turtles been seen floating in the oil. And just now, we were just down the beach here in Biloxi. We saw something very odd, which was an alligator, a big one, probably 8 or 10-foot alligator, swimming just off the beach. Now, That's happened from time to time before when they come out of the culverts, but this one looked to be way too big to come out of any sort of pipe. And we're going to talk to some wildlife experts here in about an hour and just see how unusual that may have been and if what's going on out there has anything to do with it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty unusual.
Tony?
Rob Marciano for us in Biloxi, Mississippi. Rob, appreciate it. Thank you. Greece's economy in shambles, and Greek taxpayers pretty furious. Look at these pictures. How chaotic scenes like these could bite you in the portfolio?